Tom, welcome back to the Football Terrace, mate. Disappointing night for yourselves. What, in your opinion, what went wrong tonight on the field? Selection, management, players? What was wrong?
I just think there's two words to describe what was wrong, and I think that was David Luiz. I don't think you can get much past the Brazilian in terms of that game. When you look at the lineup, I just think that there wasn't too much you can blame on Arteta. I want to put that out there first. You're going into a game against Manchester City. We're Arsenal. We're in a position right now as a club where we're just not competitive with these teams whatsoever. If you're a betting man, you're never going to bet on Arsenal to go to Manchester City and win a game. Our last 25 away games at top 6 teams, we've lost 15, I think, and drawn 10 of those, or it's the other way around. It's a horrific record away. And when you look at the instances that lead to those losses, it's big mistakes, like we saw against Chelsea with David Luiz, like we saw against Liverpool with David Luiz, and again against Manchester City with David Luiz. There is a correlation here, supposedly vying for a new 1-year deal. If that happens, that is such a detrimental look to Arsenal Football Club that you would continue to employ someone that has such a detrimental effect on your team in massive away games.
I couldn't. The David Luiz thing, where I blame Arteta is the fact that he put him on the bench, and I don't know. Maybe you can correct me if I'm wrong. There are other defenders you have in your squad that could have played who they may not be as good as him at his peak when he's playing well, but they don't have the same level of mistakes in him. And it wasn't. It's just the mind as well. The red card, it wound me up more than the mistake, because the mistake was accidental. But yeah, Mahrez is going through on goal. He might score. But you getting sent off does what? That makes it even harder. Like, it's just stupidity the whole time. In terms of the selection, we were talking to Sam on the previous call. Pepe not starting, Saka not on the left, on the right, and Aubameyang not play centrally on the left. Can you find any rationale in that? What do you think the reason was for Arteta doing that?
I think he wanted pace in the wide areas. You get that with Saka and Aubameyang. Where I will criticise Arteta is I think that, as you say, you put them on the wrong side. It's really strange to put inverted wingers when playing counter-attack, because arguably what you want to do when you're playing counter-attacking football is have as much pace as possible, quick free-flowing passing. And what you do when you put inverted wingers is you slow the game down, because when a player who's left-footed is on the right-hand side, he has to stop. Because he has to stop, cut back, and then play the ball in, or has to try and take players on. If you play a right-footed player on the right-hand side, left-footed player on the left-hand side, you can swing across into your striker much, much simpler. And I think that was a mistake on Arteta's part completely. The lineup was weird because he's gone with Nketiah. He hasn't gone with Pepe, as you mentioned. I think there was a lot of sort of earnest on there being the Brighton game at the weekend as a much, much more winnable game than this one. I think Pepe has shown physically, fitness-wise, he's not the best in that area in terms of like athletic and fitness. And so therefore playing one game a week for him in an Arsenal shirt right now is what we can expect. And if you're going to put him in a game against Man City, you're not going to get the best from him. If you put him in a game against Brighton, I think you're going to see a lot more. And for a £72 million signing, should I be saying that about someone like that? But unfortunately, I think that is the reality of the player right now, is that you're more likely to get more out of Pepe against a Brighton than you are a Manchester City. And I think that's why Arteta's gone down that route of selection. But I do think he got the inverted wingers completely wrong in this game. Yeah,
I couldn't agree with you more. And it didn't make any sense. But like you say, maybe he looked at tonight as an experiment. Maybe he thought, in his heart of hearts, he may not say this to his players, but with the likelihood of you beating City away from home was very, very slim. So you go into this next round of games in the same position as you are now. It would have been a bonus to pick up a point. It really does depend. It just depends. Do you know what? It's these next 3 games. When I look at Arsenal, I look at the Brighton, Southampton game and Sheffield United, and maybe Norwich. You've got these next 4 games where you think if you've got any chance of top 4 or even Europe next year. I don't even know if you really want Europe. You've got to pick up 10 of your next 12 points, because that run against Wolves, Leicester, and Arsenal, that next 4 after that are all very losable. So it's going to be real interesting. Where do you think you'll finish this season, based on tonight's performance and everything you hear going on at the club?
It's so difficult. I think if you're going to put money on it, I think we're going to finish in the last Europa League spot if we're lucky. Top 4 is a pipe dream, isn't it? It's an absolute pipe dream for Arsenal at the end of this season with the fitness issues now. We've gone into a game and we've lost 2 players within 25 minutes or so. That shows the preparation. Clearly, there was either something wrong or we're just unlucky, because having only 3 substitutes effectively against Man City, who'll have 5, is an absolute nightmare. But for the rest of the season, you're now looking at a situation where our fittest defensive-minded midfielders were Guendouzi and Dani Ceballos. Now, even going up against teams that you would consider, and no disrespect to them, but more winnable ties, like Brighton, for instance, even having Guendouzi and Dani Ceballos as your most defensive-minded midfielders puts you in such a vulnerable situation. Yeah. Other teams across the top 6 just have so much more depth in such a key area. You look at Manchester City today, they've got Rodri, they've got Fernandinho, like they've got players that can play that role. Gundogan can play a more deeper role. Even Kevin De Bruyne is deployed in a more deeper role because he's so good that he can do that. But Arsenal just desperately lack depth, and that's why we won't achieve what we want to with top 4, arguably into the next couple of seasons, because the depth and the quality within Arsenal's squad is so lacking that we just cannot compete over a whole season.
Mate, I hear that completely. Listen, Tom, let everyone know where they can find you on your channel, mate.
Yeah, at the Gooner Talk TV, throwing loads of content over there, so enjoy.
Yeah, go check that out. Great stuff. Wonderful words there, Tom. Thanks, mate. Speak to you again.
Cheers, Derek.
Thank you. Listen, everyone who's tuning in, we've got a couple more calls we're going to do. Do me a big favor, first of all, though. Hit that like button. There's 1,500 people tuning in. We're sitting on 237 likes. Let's get this to over 500 likes while we're live on the air, please. It means the world to us if you can do it. If you're not a subscriber to this channel, please do. First ever YouTube channel to do digital fan cams. Remember that out there. We're going to do one more call here before we open up the full lines here. And let's jump straight into it.